Murger Girl. Jesus Christ. All right, everybody. Day 4 of making videos pretty much every day. Well, it has been every day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now today is Thursday. I am loving it so far. Not going to lie. Today, we have another Hearthstone card review for the new set, Ashes of Outlands. If you are returning after watching some of my other Hearthstone reviews, welcome back. If you are new to the channel, my name is Justin, also known as Shit Just Works. And if you are new, consider hitting that sub button. All right, we got tons of Hearthstone content. I'm going to be reviewing the rest of the Ashes of Outland set. And as always, obviously, if you do like this video, go ahead and smash that like button. It all helps, trust me. Without further ado, you guys are in the right place. We're going to get into the Ashes of Outlands review. Wait, hold on, I lied. Before we get into the review, I got one question for you. I want to know what you guys think about the new, specifically, this new face card, which we're going to go over a little bit later, Kayn Sunfury. So please comment below. I want to know what you guys think. I think this card is SMORC as all hell. Cannot wait to play some face Demon Hunter. Alright, so first up we have a couple of new Paladin cards. Both are Murloc. So the first one is going to be Imprisoned Sungill. Listen, as always, I love the idea of this dormant strategy, but I just don't think a lot of these dormant cards were nailed by Blizzard. I think a lot of them are just underpowered for the sacrifice in tempo that you need to make in order to play these cards. And this card is no different. You can drop it on turn 1. But as we all know, if you're playing like a Murloc Swarm deck, you need that turn 1 drop. It has to come up. So I don't really think that, you know, sacrificing the 2 turns to get a couple extra 1/1s, I just don't think that's a big enough reward for staying dormant for 2 turns. So this card is going to get a 2 out of 5. Next up we have, and wait for it, hold on. Murger Girl. Jesus Christ. All right, this Murloc thingy. This card I absolutely love. All right, so this is the Prime for Paladin, and this is great, honestly. So it gives you a great early tempo Murloc if you are playing it in a Murloc deck. So contrary to the card we just reviewed, this will stick turn 1. It does have Divine Shield. And the Death Rattle is shuffle Murgurgle Prime. Did I get that? Wow, I nailed it first turn. Okay. The Death Rattle is shuffle Murgurgle Prime into your deck, and Murgurgle Prime is pretty freaking good. Now, what I do like about this card is that it doesn't even necessarily need to be splashed in only Murloc decks. There might be some sort of like Paladin Highlander deck that can play this, because summoning 4 of anything onto the field is good regardless of type, whether it's Murloc or, you know, Beast or whatever. Murloc's probably the, you know, the lesser of the types if you're not playing a Murloc deck, but 4 minions are 4 minions. So I think this card is great. I think it'll definitely be splashed in more than Murloc. It's going to get a 4 out of 5. All right, next up we have the very first cards that we are going to be reviewing on this channel for Demon Hunter. And it's a thing. It's a new class. I'm super for it. I believe the next video I'm going to do, Hearthstone related content, is going to be reviewing all the new Demon Hunter class cards. So very excited to get that out there. Oh my god, I cannot tell you how long I've been waiting for a new class. But that's for another video. Okay, anyways, we have Coilfang Warlord. So I already hinted at, in the beginning, asking about Kayn Sunfury. It's a face card. Demon Hunter, thus far, seems to be releasing a lot of face mechanics, aggro stuff, right? This card is kind of the opposite, all right? It's a high-costed card. It's got diesel stats. I mean, the stats on this thing are bonkers. Again, it doesn't really go with the identity of Demon Hunter right now. So as far as that's concerned, I don't know if this will see a whole ton of play. I do think this is quite a good card that could be abused in the future. It has a Death Rattle effect, and if history serves me right, usually, from my perspective anyways, Death Rattle cards usually tend to get abused. You pull them out of your deck for cheap, or depending on what other cards are in the standard format. I don't know. I think this will be abused in the future. Right now, it's just okay because it doesn't really have a home so to speak. So we're going to give it a 3 out of 5. Fell Summoner is the next card. And again, I promise you guys, I know the first 2 cards we're reviewing for Demon Hunter are like, you know, bigger, beefier minions, right? But I promise you they're mainly an aggro archetype right now. And this card is also, this actually goes towards the demon side of things. So they do also have a lot of demon cards that are being released. However, this is just, I don't know, I just don't like this card based on Void Caller. So Void Caller is another great, you know, summon a random demon from your hand. The text is improved on this card, don't get me wrong, because I think Void Caller says like place a demon from your hand on the battlefield or something weird like that instead of summon a random demon from your hand. So I don't think the higher cost is worth the risk reward, if that makes sense. So Void Caller was a 4 cost 3/4, summon a random demon from your hand on Death Rattle. This is a 6 cost 8/3, so it has more attack, which means your opponent's going to want to get rid of it possibly a little bit faster than they would a Void Caller. They probably just let the Void Caller chill for a little bit. I don't think that the 6 cost is really going to be worth playing this card at this point in time. It just seems like too much of an investment to get a random demon summoned from your hand. You know, if you're playing this, you're probably playing it in a big demon deck, right? So you're going to have 7, 8, 9 cost demons. So I guess if that's the case, you're almost always going to hit something more expensive. It almost makes that deck archetype far too lopsided to even play in the first place, because you need something smaller to drop early game to avoid just getting smorked down, right? So for now, this card is getting a 2 out of 5. All right, third Demon Hunter card is going to be Priestess of Fury. So this one's interesting in that it can be control-y, but it can also go face. So we have basically like an Avenging Wrath built in here. Avenging Wrath does 8 damage for 6 cost. This is doing 6 damage for 7 cost. If you split that up with the stats, 6 damage randomly, you could say that that's valued at 2 for, you know, 2 arcane missiles, but that's having 2 cards in your hand. So I'd say it's more like 3 to 4 cost, which means you're paying 3 to 4 cost in mana for 6, 7 worth of stats, and that's pretty freaking good. So, and obviously you can get this effect off more than once as well. The other thing is this can go face. That does kind of overlap with what Demon Hunter is trying to do. So it's very possible this could be a sort of finisher for Demon Hunter, depending on where the archetype goes. I still haven't seen all the Demon Hunter cards yet, so that's something that I need to look at. For now, on the surface, I do think this card overall is great. I think the effect is great. I think it's super high value for low cost. So this is actually going to get a 4 out of 5. And last but not least, what is going on right now? Oh my God. Kayn Sunfury. Never did I think a card like this would come out. I mean, you're talking just absolutely ignore all taunts. This was like a dream back in the day, right? Your minion, your opponent thinks that, you know, they're gonna block all your attacks because they get 3 taunt minions on the board. Nope. Like what? So this thing, what more to be said? It's absolutely great. This thing is gonna be a finisher for Demon Hunter face decks. It's, you know, you want to draw this late game. It only costs 4. You want to draw this late game. It's also got charge, which I haven't seen too many charge cards. So I think it's going to do 3 damage no matter what taunts your opponent has, right? Not to mention anything else you have on the board, you're going to be able to go face with. And the Demon Hunter hero power is going to do another 1 damage minimum. So there's a lot going for this card. It's actually worse if you draw early game, but the 3/5 body is still decent early game. So absolutely love this card. So I so cannot wait to play this card and play test it. It's getting a 5 out of 5. All right, now we have a couple Druid cards, which I'm also excited for. First up is Glowfly Swarm, and obviously, first thing that comes to mind is this is a 5 cost spell, which is perfect for Druid. First thing this makes me think of is Force of Nature. It's 5 costs. I'm in 3 2/2s. So this, you know, being 5 cost, possibly summoning 7 2/2s. I mean, you have to have the spells in your hand, but I do not think it's hard for Druid to keep, you know, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 spells in hand. I think 4 or 5 is pretty reasonable if you have a Savage Roar chilling in your hand most of the game, right? Or even 2. I mean, most of the time you want to save 2 Savage Roars to finish off your opponent, right? So I think that is great. There's also that other card that I totally can't remember the name of right now where Living Mana. Haha. See, I still got it. Living Mana as well. Very, very good card back in the day when it was played. And now this probably does better than Living Mana. Also, Token Druid is losing a few cards. They're going to be losing Acorn Bearer, Dendrologist, Landscaping, the Forest Aid, and Mulch Muncher, all due to the Year of the Phoenix. That's a big loss, especially Mulch Muncher, right? So very curious to see how they kind of make it through, see how good Token Druid is going to do after or once the Year of the Phoenix starts. This is a great addition. You do still have a lot of minions and other cards that work with the whole 5-cost strategy, so very happy to see this release. This is going to get another 5 out of 5. So the second Druid card is Ironbark, and this card's interesting, right? So on the surface, 2 mana for a 1/3 taunt is pretty, like, the definition of average, okay? It's not that great on its own. Now, adding it onto something, okay, it's like, okay, right? But this costs 0 at turn 7. So it's kind of like that Omega effect. At 10 mana crystals, you get a different effect. This one's at 7 mana crystals, and I do like that. However, late in the game, even at 0 cost, this probably isn't going to be that valuable. You need a little bit more oomph, you know, for your cards, especially with Druid. Now, what I will say is where this screams possibilities and opportunity to me is the 0 cost part, all right? Malygos, anybody? I think every time I see a card released in this game, all I see in my mind is, can this be used with Malygos? That's it. And you have that new legendary that came out. Again, forget the name. Maybe it'll come to me randomly. Every 3rd spell you play costs 0. So now, okay, you have that with the Malygos plus this plus Moonfire. Whew! You want to talk about getting a lot of spells off late in the game? You got it. You got it, man. So Druid OTK is very much still going to be a thing, even with all the cards that are coming out in Standard, and boy, can I not wait to make that deck. So, this card, in and of itself, is not that great. It's going to get a 3 stars, but look out for that deck video with the new Malygos OTK. This will be in it. Alright, now we have a bunch of neutral cards. So, first one's going to be Terran Gorefiend, and I love this card design. This screams Death Rattle. This is going to be another archetype I'm going to love to play with, either an egg version or a hunter version. And Terran Gorefiend is just, he's great, right? I mean, you're going to trigger all your Death Rattles, then you're going to resummon all your Death Rattles. This is kind of like a replacement in my eyes. It's like a cheap N'Zoth. N'Zoth was great in just summoning all your Death Rattles and giving you a big body. This is a cheaper version in that he destroys your field at first. And if he gets silenced, you're pretty much screwed. So you're going to want to trigger him probably right away. But honestly, yeah, this is a great replacement for something like N'Zoth. Definitely going to try me some Death Rattle decks in the near future. So this is getting a 4 out of 5. Next up, we have Supreme Abyssal. This screams 2 things, Arena and Filler. This card's just bad. It can't attack heroes. It doesn't provide pressure. Sure, it's got 12/12 worth of stats. Doesn't matter if you can't go face, right? So this is going to get a 1 out of 5. Replicatotron, where were you in the last format? It's probably actually good he wasn't around in the last format. This would have been busted with Magnetic. This would have been absolutely nuts busted. We do not have Magnetic anymore, so it's not that great. It can be used with something like the Paladin Hero Power. You can buff it up to 3/3. It's just not... I don't know. And then you could add buffs onto it with Paladin or Priest and then copy the minion next to it. So there's definitely some potential there, but I just don't think it has as much potential as it would have had in this current format. So for that reason, it's going to get a 2 out of 5. Next neutral card is Scrapyard Colossus. Now, this card is tricky because it costs 10. I think they could have got away with it costing 9, but I don't know, maybe it would have been a bit too much. This card does remind me of Grizzled Guardian in that, like, people tried to play it and get value out of it, a very high cost Death Rattle minion, but it just never really did what people wanted it to do. And then similarly, Voidlord. Now, Voidlord did see play and did get value, mainly because it summoned 3 Taunt minions, and they were all demons, so it went with another strategy. Now, what I will say is, I think a lot of people aren't realizing this is an elemental, and that could make a huge difference. So this might be some sort of, in some sort of mage control elemental deck that can cheat this out for really cheap. The 10 cost makes it really hard to actually put into a deck, and it just doesn't seem like that value is really worth it. This may be abused in the future. The first time I see a huge Death Rattle card, the first thing I think is this might be abused with some sort of cheap effect. So we'll see what happens with that. But for now, we're going to give it a 3 out of 5. Next up is a very interesting card, Moarg Artificer. And I do like this card design, especially for it having the 4 health. So it makes it, a little sticky. And I do think this would be interesting in maybe a control mage deck, some sort of rogue deck maybe. I mean, now your backstab is doing 4 damage for 0 cost, so it definitely has its places. But I do think it's going to be more combo oriented or control oriented. It can be splashed in a lot of spots. I mean, this could even be used in Druid. Anything that really does damage. Warlock even, or even Shaman, right? There's a lot of probably warriors, maybe the best, or priest. Warrior and priest are probably the worst, not best. The worst places to use this card. I don't know. It's tricky. This card is very, very tricky. So for now, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. And finally, Maiev Shadow Song. Bye-bye, Spellbreaker. Hello, Maiev. This is no longer just a hero that you can play with. It is a card. And honestly, I love this effect. I love that they're taking the dormant effect and using it in a proactive way. I will say, coming from Legends of Runeterra as well, or I mean, technically I played Hearthstone first. Whatever. Being that I've played Legends of Runeterra, there's a card in there called Detain, which basically you pick one of your own minions. If this was in Hearthstone, it's a spell. You pick one of your own minions. It basically eats up one of the opponent's minions and holds it until that minion dies. And if the minion dies, then your opponent gets their minion back. This is similar in a way, except it's only 2 turns. It's only ever going to last for 2 turns. So it's kind of a downside as far as that's concerned. I would like to see a card like this that does the same thing, but when the minion dies, they get the creature back. That would be kind of cool. I'm sure they'll play around with that at some point. So we'll see what happens with that. But as for the effect, very comparable to Spellbreaker. I think it's great. I think it's going to be something that denies your opponent of doing what they want to do for 2 turns. And if you're able to gain that tempo back within 2 turns, then when they get the minion back, you don't even care. So this card is getting a solid 4 out of 5. And that's it. There's another 15 cards, technically 16 because of the Prime. But hey, who's counting? Cannot wait to get into the Demon Hunter class. I'm souped for that video. So again, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell so you get notified when I release that Demon Hunter content. And as always, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.